Good morning, everyone. I've come to Madrid to look into the eyes of the court that wants to bring down another president of the government of Catalonia. I have come to Madrid to explain to them that they have no right or justification to do so, and that we are not afraid of them. I've come to Madrid to reiterate that our cause has a long history and will continue to the end, a free and fair republic for all Catalans. That is, a peaceful, inclusive, positive and democratic cause, and above all, that is a legally just and legitimate cause according to international declarations and treaties on fundamental rights. These magistrates of the Supreme Court who are to decide whether to disqualify a democratic and legitimate president from office for defending free speech, justice for political prisoners, and the return of those in exile, these magistrates today hold in their hands something much more important than my political future. They do not wish to disqualify me for any old banner, but for a banner that defended the fundamental rights denied to us. This is an utterly disproportionate legal action, lacking all sense of justice. These magistrates hold in their hands the chance to put right an aberrant judicial process, which is yet more evidence of the accelerating decadence of this democracy. A democracy born out of a transition which we now see was born out of the Franco regime and not out of a democratic revolution that brought the dictatorship to an end. This is a democracy that today, in 2020, is light years away from European standards. One that falls all stress tests when forced to be accountable to Europe. A democracy that is repeatedly defeated in the European course whenever it tries to take one of the indecent shortcuts to which we have become so accustomed. We live in a state that tramples on the most basic notions of democracy, justice, and fundamental rights due to an authoritarian dogma that defends the indivisible unity of the fatherland, their fatherland. The indivisible unity of what they consider Spain is put before the independence of the judiciary, the requirements of a neutral police force, and the democratic decency of parliaments. Yet today, there are people in exile for committing the crime of expressing their opinion. Prisoners are locked in their cells 23 hours a day when they have the right to their release, and an elected president, myself, who may well be disqualified for using a banner, a peaceful banner, to demand fundamental rights. All peaceful, democratic projects can be discussed in Spain, they said, and immediately we remember the images of the 1st of October. What a lie. But above all, we live in a state that persecutes and threatens President Puigdemont, that refuses to allow Vice President Junqueras to take his seat as a Euro MP, that intends to disqualify a president from office in the middle of a monumental pandemic and crisis, that spies on democratic representatives while protecting a Francoist criminal such as Martin Villa, that accompanies and covers for a monarch in exile under investigation for corruption. A state that structurally and deliberately improvises the Catalan-speaking countries by depriving them of their resources. This is the Spanish state, and this is how it charms us into staying on friendly terms. A state incapable of reform, of being reformed in any way. The attitude shown by the Spanish state towards the Catalan independence movement over the next few months will set the moral and ethical foundation for its future. Without firm and urgent rectification, Spain will seal its failure as a modern European state. Allowing Catalonia to exercise its right to self-determination is a great historic opportunity to drag itself into the 21st century. It is an opportunity for the Spanish state to seize or ignore, but it needs to be fully aware that it cannot hold back the will of the Catalan people forever. We will not wait for change in the Spanish state to exercise our inalienable right. I just want you to know that I'm completely dedicated to the battle against the pandemic and its economical and social consequences. Since the very start of this emergency, this battle has been my sole concern. It is my impression that a banner calling for the release of political prisoners and return of those in exile is more important to the Spanish state than a president and his government's fight against the pandemic and the gravest economic crisis of recent years. I will not shift 1 inch from my duty as president, which is to serve the public. And today, such service means fighting the pandemic 24 hours a day right up to the last moment, until my disqualification comes into force, if this is indeed the Supreme Court's eventual, utterly disproportionate decision. I will not stop doing so for 1 instant. If the Spanish state reaches a point of such absolute irresponsibility as to disqualify me, only one party is to blame: the state itself. I'm not the one who will bring this country at such a critical time through an irresponsible electoral period that will paralyze Catalan administration. They need to know that whatever happens, they will not just be disqualifying me. Today, this court holds in its hands the fall of a government, the end of this term of parliament. This is not a punishment imposed on me because of a banner, but a punishment for a whole country in the middle of a pandemic. Can anyone remember such a thing in a European democracy? If it happens, the responsibility will lie wholly and exclusively with the Spanish state, obsessed as it is with its private revenge against Catalonia's democratic wishes. Many, many thanks, and long live Free Catalonia.